Welcome to the Creative Ascension Podcast. If you're looking for a space to fit in, this ain't it. This is a space for the ones who were never meant to. You know who you are, the rebel light leaders, the artists, the conscious parents, the soul-led entrepreneurs, and the unnicheable modern mystics. The ones who feel it in their bones that there's another way to live, lead, and create. Here, leadership isn't a strategy, it is embodied. Creativity is not a skill, it's your life force, and your life itself becomes art. This is where we break from conformity and really return to sovereign self-expression, where business is an ascension pathway. The body becomes the anchor, and your creative power becomes that thing that sets you free. The Creative Ascension Podcast explores embodied leadership, spiritual entrepreneurship, and conscious creation for the visionary leaders building the new earth. Each week, we dive into raw, real, and activating conversations with the ones who are walking it. The artists, the builders, the disruptors, the cosmic architects of the new paradigm. The ones like you who are choosing truth over approval, freedom over safety, and expression over perfection. I'm Debbie Lim Creative, visual alchemist, new earth artist, and this is your reminder, your body is the canvas, your frequency is the paintbrush, and your life is the masterpiece waiting to be lived. Welcome to Creative Ascension. All right, welcome. It is so amazing to have you here. I have got the most exciting, juicy guest today. So let us dive on and take a deep breath, buckle up. This one is going to be sparkly, it's going to be joyful, it's going to be amazing. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce today's guest, the amazing Jacinda Crothers. For those of you that are watching this on a video, you're in for a treat. Check out this woman's outfit. It says it all. She is the queen of joy, a leader who empowers women to unlock their full potential through radical presence, creative expression, and mindful mastery. Blending science and soul, she helps professionals break free from burnout, perfectionism, and people-pleasing, enabling them to lead with confidence, clarity, and impact. She's climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Oh yeah, she has. She's navigated infertility and coached hundreds of women through life's most challenging seasons. Today, she leads a global movement helping women bring joy, creativity, and authenticity. This is just such a juicy bio. I'm just soaking it up. Beautiful being. It's so amazing to have you here. And let's just see where this conversation flows. We're obviously kindred spirits. I'm very excited to say that I recently gardened. I was just reading your bio and seeing that you love hanging out in the garden. And we have, so much in common with our creative connections. And it's so great to finally sit in space and share this time with you. So thank you so much for being here in all your shining glory. Oh my gosh, it's new moon as we record this as well. So, this is, to me, feels like a super juicy creative portal that we are sitting in. So let's just see where it goes. Can you start off just by just sharing a little bit more about who you are, how you really came into the embodiment of this work, right? Because we're always sharing the code that we're collecting, aren't we? So take it away. Tell us all about you. Were you always this bright, sparkly, amazing, radiant, creative, fully expressed woman?
Oh, love it. I love it. Firstly, thank you so much. What an intro. And one of the words that really struck me as you were sharing and opening was courage. And I guess that's the underpinning of all of this, right? This ability for us to come together and share and be open and allow ourselves to delve into the parts that feel scary, the parts that the world perhaps is not ready for. And you asked him, have I always been this sparkly? I think the answer is yes. I've always felt this connection to bigness, this connection to vibrancy, this connection to brightness. And have I always expressed that outwardly? Probably not. And so there has been a transition, and I think this helps when you get older, right? You just give less.
And I love what you've said there, actually, because I think that's a point to hone in on straight away, is that, and I think you are on this same journey with people, to remind people that you were always that sparkly being on the inside, but somewhere along the way you forgot, right? And so there's so many things that get in the way of us expressing that. So it's like, yeah, how did you unravel that? What's been your journey?
Unravel it. Let's unravel it. I think I was chatting to you just before we jumped on, and I was sharing that I'm a twin. I have a twin brother. Love him dearly, and he is the master of actually some of the pieces behind me. He's an artist, and that was always a path that he followed quite strictly, or it's always been something that he's really allowed himself to delve into, whereas I was the opposite of that. I was sort of like dabbling on the outside whilst doing all of the sciences and following the traditional path, and ending up in a place where I was externally, I suppose, celebrated for the successful path, but feeling a little bit hollow inside, and always looking, always searching, always seeing, always like, the bright, shiny things outside. And so that led me into a path of hospital work and radiotherapy, treating cancer patients, which was incredible work. But also there was part of me that just wasn't creatively fulfilled in that space. And so when an opportunity came up to be into corporate, I was like, yes, let's get me out. I want to travel the world. I want to see things. I want to teach people things. And always like this connection with people, always this connection of like supporting people in tough spaces. Obviously, when you're faced with a diagnosis, when you're faced with mortality, that brings up a lot of things. And at a young age, when I was dealing with that, it was tough. It was a lot. But it also stood me in great stead to be able to walk the path with people that are in transition in their life, and really have that connection with how we get to feel, how we get to be, even in those really tough places. And so trying to guide myself through that, and in essence as well, like I lived overseas for a long time. We moved, finished uni and gapped it overseas, as most people do, and then ended up being 15 years away. And so just unfolding this life overseas, away from family, away from whenua, and navigating infertility was a big thing for me. In my transition, and like, what do I want to feel? How do I want to be? How do I want to access the world when things aren't going my way? When you're a young woman and you're expected just to be able to have kids, and that didn't happen, and that kind of coincided with a bullying experience in corporate, which ended up being a great experience. Like the worst things that happen to you end up being the best things that happen to you, because they point you in a direction where maybe you weren't necessarily quite ready for. Are we ever ready for them? But that forced me to ask some pretty deep questions, and that it's kind of evolved into where I am now, in the space that I am now. Like really took that path of learning how to listen to my own heart, and how to come meet life as it is, remove the judgment, remove the pressure, and just really live from a place of joy. Like I want to feel, and it didn't come naturally at that point. Like joy is something that's quite a vulnerable thing to experience, and can be quite scary. And so this has definitely been an evolution. It wasn't something that I just woke up and was like, oh God, I'm not feeling this anymore.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, no, not at all, wouldn't it? And so it's definitely an evolution. But I also feel super grateful for the experiences that I've had, and I think this is one of the things that I support other women in understanding, is that it all matters. It's all part of it. And it's how we allow ourselves to meet those moments, and what we choose to carry through, especially the tough times. We talk a lot about the tough times because those are the things that stand out in our history. But there's some real highlights as well. And it's just that natural affinity to choosing the highlights and choosing those things to allow ourselves to be guided by. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered the question in that,
I
but
don't know. I just love it all. So, when you were thinking about leaving corporate and leaving a reliable, steady job, was that a step-by-step process, or were you one of those ones where you were like, the decision has hit me, I'm out, I don't know where I'm going, or like was there more of a gradual process? So I'm always interested in the transition
yeah,
of
I love that. I love that. So I literally remember so we were in England at the time. We just were in the middle of renovating our old beautiful house in England, and was sat with my husband on the couch downstairs in this new extension that we'd just created. And I was in tears every day on my way to work, and it was a long commute. It was 2.5 hours one way to get to the office. I wasn't in the office all the time, but it was big. And Dan just said to me, "It's like if this doesn't feel right, and if it's not right, then you don't have to do this." And it was kind of like the little nudge that I needed to actually just really feel into that. So I was like, okay. And so at that point, I'd been working quite a lot overseas, and I have quite a big overseas connection, and I'd worked a lot in India, and we'd lived in Singapore. I'd studied some interior design on the side because I just love creative things. So I think it was kind of pointing towards that. But I was traveling to India quite a bit, and it was always part of me. And I was like, maybe I should just do something creative. And so I actually just started researching at the same time as I was in corporate. So my last sort of few months, I was back and forth to India doing some sourcing. And I started a company for manufacturing organic bedding products and homeware stuff. So I was in a sampling phase with that. It wasn't ready. But I guess it was about a 6-month transition for me to hand in my notice, to leave, and then to have this kind of sampling process happening at the same time, and then moving into that. So that, I guess that's a swift-ish decision.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
I'd count that as pretty fast. So celebrating you in your courage to walk away, because it's turned into all kinds of amazing things. I feel like I want to fast forward, like the oceans wanting to just jump right in here. So I know I've been following you for a while because you're like my little happy ray of sunshine on the internet, where everything else gets a bit serious and a bit heavy from time to time. And I just love going on your page. You really are leading like a revolution of joy and like upliftment. It's so refreshing. And I didn't realize that you were an ocean dipper till quite recently, because I lived at the beach for 5 years down in Whitianga, and just I was walking my dog one day and just felt like I got to get in. I think I went in like basically fully clothed and was just bobbing there going, okay, I need to do this every day. So I did it every day, rain, hail or shine. The pull of it was so strong, and it had, of course, so many amazing benefits physically as well as all of the other stuff. So when did you start doing this, and what has it become? Because I think you've got a bit of a movement going on, which looks really exciting.
Oh, I love this about you too. I didn't know that. There is something, so the ocean for me has always been a really strong pull since I was a little girl. And actually that's part of the reason why we came back to New Zealand from overseas. COVID lockdown hit. We're in the UK. It was like 2 years of lockdown, so that was pretty crappy. And as soon as we had the opportunity to get space to come back here, we're like, yes, I need to be back to my sea. I need to be back to the ocean. But I've been swimming. So I used to swim in the UK as well. So, it wasn't as structured as it is here. But coming back, the transition back to New Zealand after 15 years abroad, I felt like I needed something that was going to support me, firstly, just reground with the local landscape, with the local seasons and the tides and everything, and my local beach. And then secondly, it was about community. It was about, oh my gosh, I don't even know how old I was maybe I was like 38 or something when we came back. And, you know, at that time, I have a son, so he was at school. But moving back as an adult and kind of like everyone's got their friends and everyone's figured life out and you're kind of starting again. And for anybody that's moved country, I've moved country 4 times. So, you know, it's it's a big thing and it takes a while to resettle. And so the way that I like to do it is to find communities, to find my peeps. And so the swimming really started by myself, and then I just invite a few people to come along, and then I just started sharing it. So it became this weekly ritual of going to the beach and, you know, sitting in meditation and then going into the water. And this was, you know, all throughout the season. So rain, hail, shine, as you said before, like, doesn't matter. We're getting wet anyway. Just get in there. And yeah, so slowly over the last 4 years or so, it's grown to, a bit of a movement, which is absolutely beautiful. And but it didn't start like that. You know, it was just me on the beach on my own, and I'd invite people and they wouldn't come, and I'd still sit on my own and do the things because I just know how much the feeling matters. And that's really what this is about. This is what life is about, right? Is the feeling. And so last year, because I do this weekly, so every Wednesday, 6 a.m, regardless. If I'm overseas, then I'll like tune in and record something and send it to the group, and they still meet, which is amazing. But I get asked all the time, oh, do you swim every day? And up until this year, I was like, no, I just do weekly. And so this year, I was like, I need to listen to this, actually. I'm going to shift, I'm going to change, I'm going to challenge myself to do this every single day. And so that's how it's kind of transitioned. And it has been one of the most incredible things that I've ever gifted myself, is those that, I don't know, half an hour space to just be with myself. And what's happened is, you know, now I have this community of people, of dog walkers, of just random strangers on the beach, of people that I've met that now know what I'm doing. And so, like, you know, I'm walking down to the beach and I'll see Dean, or I'll see, you know, Sarah, or, you know, people that I've just met in the space that I wouldn't have met before, that are just like local legends doing their thing and that are looking out for us as a community. And it was really stormy the other day. I was just watching out for you, or I've had somebody take pictures at sunrise just because they saw me out there and contacted me and were like, oh, don't think this is creepy, but there was just such a beautiful moment and I captured this for you. And it's just like, it's just been this this ever giving process. And I walked into a yoga class the other day, and there was an old dude next to me, and he was like, hey, you're Arctic swimmer girl. I was like, what?
Am I?
And he was like, I was like, okay, what do you mean by that? And I was like, yeah, I swim every day. Is that what you mean? And he's like, yeah. And then he followed up with, oh, your dad taught me. My dad taught everyone. He's like an old school teacher dude who's recently retired, and he's literally taught every man in the area. So that wasn't a surprise to me. But, you know, like, it has this ripple, and it has this ripple of how it allows people to come in and experience something that they wouldn't necessarily experience before. So a lot of people tell me that they wouldn't do it alone, that they wouldn't get into the ocean alone. And I feel like that is it's sad. And I want to be able to encourage people to get in there. And so if I can do that, if I can help one person just to get into the ocean and experience what it does for your body, like, then that's it. And so, yeah, it's been this avalanche of beautiful moments.
Amazing.
And I'm so grateful. And every day is different.
I'm turning a bit green just listening to you, just remembering the beach. And now we don't live anywhere near the water. It's about an hour away. So really deeply miss it, like on a soul level. And that's just, there's so many beautiful parts there, like I feel like the gentleness of the new earth awakening too, because, you know, it really is for us now about us being the change, which is a really cheesy line, but holding the frequency, which just magnetizes people in. That's exactly what you've done. They've just seen you doing it. It's like, hey, do you want to join me? If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And you've been that permission slip for people to come and have their own experience with the ocean. And I know, I was listening to Pam Gregory the other day about like what's coming for the end of 2025 and going into 2026. And a lot of it is around people awakening to caring for the earth, and in particular the ocean. And that I just had a massive reawakening of that over in Bali with all of the abuse of the environment that is so in your face there, so evident. And it was absolutely heartbreaking, but absolutely lit a fire in me again too, where I was like, that's right, I was that ocean activist, and just because I don't live there anymore. So it's really got me thinking like, okay, what happens when I when I run retreats and just getting people in and around those natural spaces, I think is really underestimated in the power of what that shifts for you. Like I was thinking, it's great. You can look at like a plastic ocean and on a movie, you can see turtles on a movie, you can think about rubbish, but to stand there and witness it and be in that space was a totally different experience that I still don't really even have words for. It was just so deeply jarring and activates you. It activates you into like, okay, we've got to do something, we have to do better kind of mindset. And so I'm so excited that you're doing that, and that so many people are just having that, whether they know it or not, they're having a spiritual awakening in the ocean.
It is an awakening, 100%, 100%.
She holds all the codes, right? Water holds all of the codes, all of the ancient wisdom is stored in the ocean. And so this is my belief, is every time we go in there, our body gets to wake up and remember that we are a part of that, right? So I love that.
This was one of the things as well, like living overseas for a long time, and this is a thing that I share is around, and actually we were meditating on this the other day, and there was some like profound stuff that came up for people in the group around this idea and the sense that I get whenever I'm in the water, especially when I'm overseas, is that this has touched the hearts of home. This water, even though I am 11,000 miles away from New Zealand, when I was in the UK and the Channel or whatever, I could feel that this is somehow connected to home, like it is all in some way. And in the same sense, it's connected to the souls that are not here anymore. We've all bathed in the sea, we've all been around the water, and so in that there is something beautiful and connecting and alive when you access the water. And so when we go in, I have a little ritual where I taste the water and I ask for its protection, and I feel the connection to not only ourselves and who is here physically, but also in the non-physical, who else has been in the water, these past experiences of that, and knowing, like my grandparents were in Liverpool and they used to love the seaside, and they migrated to New Zealand in the 50s, but there's part of that, and their ancestors would have accessed like all of that. There's just such a depth of relatability to the ocean. It's a special place. Yes, and so Yes, get in,
everybody. This is your little nudge if you live by the ocean and you don't. That's the other thing that used to really disturb me living at the beach, is like quite often we were the only ones there, and I was like, where is everybody? So I was more of a lone wolf, whereas I love that you thought, I never even thought to invite anyone else. Isn't that funny? Maybe I was just having a deeply personal awakening kind of time at that time, so it's very much like just for me. But I love that community is where it's at, right? This is how we are birthing this new earth. It's been done together. So thank you for your amazing work down at the beach. I know that that's going to have such a ripple. I want to talk a little bit about presence. You've got here
Oh,
in your beautiful info that you've given me. The new earth moves slower but lives deeper, where presence replaces pressure and joy is recognized as both medicine and sacred strategy. Because let's just talk about this presence and joy. Because, I love how this is all lining up. Because while I was in Bali, I randomly took off my bookshelf The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And like it sat on my bookshelf. I've probably owned it for over 10 years. I've never read it. Or I think I tried
yeah.
to read it a long time ago and thought, I don't get it.
It's quite a heavy read, yeah,
Well, I
back
found it
then.
really easy now because I was like, oh, I totally get that. I totally know what you're talking about. I agree. Oh my gosh, yes. And so he talks about, that love, joy, and I think he says peace are not emotions. They're actually
Mm.
who we are at our core. And it's like, to me, that's such a simple but deeply profound thing to kind of open up, because people, as you've said at the start, how you were looking out there for this, for that, and we do that, right? Especially even when we sort of start in a spiritual awakening, it's like we become the seeker. What do I need to know? Where can I find all the things? And then of course we go around that beautiful heroine's journey where we realize, oh, here's where I find it, here in the body and here in the now. So tell us a bit more about joy, what it means to you, how you help people, or what do you see are some of the challenges to people really understanding that or accessing that. I know in my work, we'll often attract clients and that have got a very similar experience to us, where I see a lot of people who are, I was teaching into this yesterday. So they've got a great life, quote unquote, right? Sticking all the
Yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
So she should be happy and she should be grateful and she should. And there's a lot of shoulds and there's a lot of internal guilt and quiet shame, which turns into, this real undercurrent of self-loathing because she can't access that. She's like, I should be happy with this, right? This should be bringing me joy, but it's
Hmm.
not there. And there's kind of like, I know I describe it as, that I used to feel like I was watching my life like it was a movie, but I wasn't really in it.
Yeah.
What do you see? What's been your experience working with so many people and helping them on this path?
Oh, well, you've basically just described me from 10 years ago. And I think a lot of women can relate to that as well, right? It's like you have these expectations of what you're supposed to, how you're supposed to show up in the world, and you meet all of those, and you're like, like there's nothing that's allowing me to really like step out and feel that um, vibrancy. There's like this low level kind of complacency cloud that's just
Mm.
over us.
Somebody said the
Um,
other day, like a real danger is when you're like, oh, it's good enough.
yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah,
ooh, that's juicy. Because we kind of get
yeah,
shamed for wanting more. It's like, you should be happy.
yeah,
You've got a nice husband. You've met your soulmate. You've got 2 kids. You've got a house. And I'm like,
yeah, yeah. You live by the beach, great. That's
yeah,
not
you're
if
living
that's
the
not
dream.
fire
I'm
in
like,
your belly.
yeah.
Oh, I think so from a definition perspective, like Brene Brown talks about joy as good mood for the soul. And I often feel like we've forgotten what a good mood for the soul is. Like we're just so busy doing all of the things and being everything for everybody that we don't actually we miss, or we've lost that connection to what actually is that for us, and you see it so clearly in childhood. I have a 7-year-old, and it's so easy for him to access that state of just joyful being, that state of joyful presence, because I see that joy is presence. It's that ability just to be in the moment without any expectation, without any judgment, and just to simply arrive and allow for it to be. And this is what Eckhart talks into. And I had the pleasure of going to see him in Auckland last year or the year before, whenever he visited. And it was just like, oh, there's such reverence and such beauty that flows from him just because he is just so fully there. He's fully,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that blows my mind. I'd love to actually just be in the room with him just to experience that frequency, because that
energy
is so rare, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it was interesting as well for me. He's a little man. He's only tiny.
Yeah.
But he just had this massive, like, he captivated the audience for, I don't know, over 2 hours. He just sat and chatted. And I found his book really challenging. I probably got it, same, about 10 years ago, and I tried to read it, and I just kept putting it back because I was like, oh my
We didn't have the ability to be present with it.
Not at all. Not at all. And that kind of like has flown into like me doing, 2 years of meditation training and like all of that stuff on top of that. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Okay. But it took some time to get to that place. But I think that's like that's where the majority of the population sit as well, is with joy, like with this ability to access this fun, playful side of ourselves. It's not something that is always present, and it's something often that we save. And I used to see myself doing that, especially when I was in corporate. It was like, oh no, I'm not allowed to feel that until it's the weekend or until it's holiday or until it's after hours. Like I can't allow myself to have that. It's like the carrot that you dangle, that if you're good enough, then you can experience it. And that's not how it works.
Yeah,
it gets to be it gets to be the catalyst. It gets to be the thing that we experience because of. And then everything else kind of aligns in a way, it works backwards. We feel it first and then stuff just like automatically happens. You're like, wow, this is magic. Yeah, because it is.
It's a master manifestation frequency, isn't it? And it is so, so simple. And yet there's so many pieces that get in the way of that. Like, I have an art studio set up here at home, and that really is my happy place. And yet I've struggled so much in the last few years to get in there. And so I've just been really taking this deep journey with why that is. And I think it's different for every body. Like there's so many old constructs that we have to deconstruct in order to give ourselves permission. So what I came to in the end, and again, it was Bali. Gosh, a lot happened in Bali. I was on a retreat there, and we were looking at, saving time and our wheel of life and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, I've done all this stuff before. But I had this huge epiphany where I could see that creativity was like the magic secret sauce that was going to balance everything: work life, home life, health, well-being, everything. And I thought, what if I was a total rebel, and instead of starting work on a Monday and plugging into a fuck ton of admin, which kills my soul, and it's really not what I enjoy, what if I spent all of Monday in the art studio doing my creative projects or just mucking around? And then I did all the admin stuff on Friday so that on the weekend I could totally switch off, because I'm disconnecting from this thing that I tried it on for a year. I tried this on for a year, and maybe you've seen people trying this on. And if it works for people, that's great. But there's a lot of chat at the moment about, I am my business and I am my work. And so it's totally, everything is melded together, and it's fine for me to just be working all the time because that feeds my soul. And maybe that does for some people, and I was saying that because that's true. But really, 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 when I started having a look at like, what does a functional freeze look like in my world? Oftentimes it looks like just plowing on, just working and telling myself that it's okay because I love it. I love work, which I do. But what are we avoiding in that space as well? So, letting it kind of take over and take out that creative spark. And there's so much programming around this too, right? Because we're taught from even at art school, they said to me, go and be a wedding photographer, which I did, or a designer or a teacher, because you won't make any money being an artist. And those things that you hear that really like become embedded. And, what we see out there is, again, like you've lived in the corporate world, you have to work hard to earn your joy. You cannot put that first and then work for the week. And it is going to be a real challenge because my husband's going off to a job that's not his favorite thing to do on a Monday morning, or he's doing his meetings and getting all irate. And it's like going to be my biggest sacred rebellion to walk out and just paint for the day.
I love that.
Watch this space. What are some of the other things that you see people either getting confused or blocked around this, or what kinds of, what do you have to help them unpack?
I think a lot of people struggle with fun. I think the majority of people that come to me are like, ask them the question, what do you do for fun? And they're like, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. And that is sad. Like this just highlights, highlights the importance of asking ourselves that question, what do I do for fun? Not what do I do with the kids for fun, or what do I do with my husband, or what do I do with my friends for fun? Like in the sense that I need somebody else in order to create that for me. And we talked briefly at the start about the garden. Like I am obsessed with my garden. And I shared the other day, what is the thing that you would do to the day that you die that brings you so much love and so much joy? And for me, it's flowers and it's the beach, obviously. But when we think about the things that are really deeply embedded in our psyche that just like allow us to have that connection and that feeling, like what is that? And this gets to be an exploration often, because a lot of the women that I work with are busy mums or in corporate or making that transition, and it's the thing that falls off the list. It's the thing that they haven't even given any energy to for the last, I don't know, however long, just because life has happened.
I had it scheduled on Friday afternoon, and I never got to it because the list is never ending, right? I think I was waiting for the to-do list to somehow one day be done. So realizing that it's never going to be done because we're always creating more. But the permission piece to put it first.
And that is like a non-negotiable, and it becomes a non-negotiable. I talk about in some of the sessions that I share, there's a way of prioritizing, and I talk about, and I don't know who it was, so I can't reference this to anyone, but it was something that I learned years ago and it stuck with me. But it's prioritizing the big rocks, and you might have heard of this. Like there was like a teacher at school, and he was talking to a class, and he was like trying to fit things in a jar. And the problem with a lot of people is that what we often do is we put all the sand in first, and sand fills up the jar quite quickly, and then we have like the bigger pebbles, which are the things that are a bit more important in our lives, and then we have the big rocks that are the things that are really important, and they're the things that we often put in last. And so what you've just been talking about is putting the big rocks in first, the things that we value the most, the things that bring us the most joy, the things that connect us fully to who we are or who we're becoming in the process. Like that might be something like family, it might be, your creativity, it might be for me like getting in the ocean. Those things, those are my big rocks. They are my absolute non-negotiables, and they go in first, and then all of the other shit can go in around it, because actually sand can flow around the rocks, and then the water at the end, just like, and that's all the like busy tasks that we fill our days with that we think are important that are actually not, that are actually taking us away from this ability to be here and now and present and alive and happy and excited and like living life to the fullest.
I love it. You speak in my language, and maybe I need to bring that in, because it's something I find myself repeating over and over inside business coaching as well. Like I've got a whole model for, you can apply that to your business and to your offers. Like so many people would dilute our magnificence by focusing on all these little things, thinking we have to build our way up some kind of ladder. And it's like, it's the opposite of that. Why don't you just focus on the two biggest things and put most of your energy into that, and just learn to deal with the chaos that's over there on that table that you can't see, of all the stuff in progress that's like, no, it doesn't matter really. What matters is ... fill in the blanks, hey? What matters
Yeah.
is you and your joy. And then what if you prioritize that? And then same thing in your business. What if you prioritized like actually enjoying that and weaving that into your offers and making them big and juicy, and filling your time with the needle movers, eh? So it's like that juicy combination of finding yourself in the basically your joy, your ocean, for example. It sets you up in a God moment, doesn't it? Like you're in super flow now. Your day is going to be amazing. How have you felt? Like, has it shifted? Especially, I'd be interested to know from going once a week. It's kind of like yoga, isn't it? Once a week's like, okay. Twice a week, you're like, whoa, stuff's happening. So from doing it like every day, what are the shifts that you've noticed, like in the wider sphere of your life, business, health, energy,
Yeah,
creativity?
energy's the big one, and it's interesting because most of the time I swim in the morning. So first thing I'm up and I'm there. I'm actually in my togs, like I'm ready to go. So we'll just jump off here and I'll
I love it.
straight to the city. And I notice when I don't do that, like we were away with family a couple of weekends ago and I didn't get my swim first thing, and I was just noticing I was a bit crabby. I was a bit like grouchy and a bit snappy. And I was like, hold on a second. This is because I haven't been in the ocean yet. This is because I haven't gifted myself the space to be in the world. And it doesn't always have to be first thing in the morning, but I've really noticed that is my time. Like that's the thing that sets me up. That energy is the other thing. Like I can probably, so I'm on, today is day 324, and I could count that on one hand the number of times that I've been like, I don't want to go. I can't. I'm just not feeling it today. Like I was sick, had a really crappy time back in the winter school holidays, and we were away. We were actually in Auckland, so I was trying to find water that didn't have poo in it to swim in, and that was a bit of a mission. It was a bit of a mission, and that just realization and that gratitude for how I have clean water at my doorstep, and I can just go in and jump in at any time. But yeah, those times when I haven't wanted to go in, and I've made myself, the transition from before and after is like incredible. Like going and like trudging down there in the cold, like hands are cold, and like putting my jackets on, and and I'm like naturally I'm quite I'm quite uplifted. I'm quite like normally a happy person, but there are times, obviously, we all experience all of the things. But yeah, going down there in a bit of a grump and then just coming back and just realizing, it's this infinite connection to something greater than who we are, and that realization and that opening to possibility in the ocean, in the body feel of it. And yeah, so
the word that's dropping in when you say that is like aliveness.
Yes,
There's so many. I said to my husband yesterday, I went to the supermarket, and I absolutely hate going to the supermarket for many reasons, but I wasn't in a high vibe myself, but I was just looking at the people, all the people that I was coming across, looking at their energy, looking at their posture, looking at their facial expressions, searching for some kind of aliveness, and I did not find it. And then this woman came around the corner singing and laughing with her friend, and it was like someone just went with a massive fireball, and then I went back into what I called later the zombie apocalypse. Like I literally had to just put myself in a dissociative state, because I was like, I don't know what this is, but what is this, And then the woman came and stood behind me. Another woman started singing with the supermarket song. She had a beautiful voice and this beautiful child, and I was just like, it was just so fascinating to me to have a look at the disconnected people and the connected people, that the alive ones, and then the ones that are sort of living in some kind of altered state of presence. I don't even know what the word is. It was beyond disconnection. Yeah, like there was quite a lot of aggression from those people, like they'd just bang their trolley into you because they're like, "You're not here, I can't see you." Yeah, and I was like, "Wow, this is why I guess we do what we do." Um, but it was also just one of those moments of seeing the power of the simplicity of the ones that were in joy.
And I
It's like,
think what like the thing here that is so, that we've been talking about this whole call really is simplicity. Like, it gets to be easy. It gets to be simple. It doesn't have to be anything massive. And I think that is one of the things that holds us back from experiencing it, is because you're like, is it here? I've done this little thing and I'm kind of feeling it, but is that it? And we overanalyze and over question and then exit ourselves from the moment because we're so used to overanalyzing. We're so used to, like, is it really, questioning, doubting, and like in that.
yeah,
And so we've
like
we've
needing it
just
to
like,
be like off the Richter scale kind of high
yeah,
kind of thing. Like it's almost
yeah,
like because we talk about joy being like a really high frequency, and so it's and you might in your mind start to go to like big experiences where you have to feel this like this heightened state, but it's actually not that at all, is it? Like for me, the joy comes when I'm just really present and really calm, really
yeah,
grounded, and I'm really here. And like people must think I'm a bit nutty because I'll be walking around the park and I'll see like a drop of water on a leaf and be like, oh my God. And I'll get tears. Well, I've got tears in my eyes even just saying that, and take a photo of it, and I'll just stand there like transfixed. And, it's to me, that's it right there. It's just being able to be fully present with all of your senses, to be able to feel through all your whole body system the magic that's right in front of you with that little drop of
yeah,
water on that freaking rose petal.
yeah. Oh, well, I'm like out in the garden every morning, like, oh, what's sprouted, what's happened, well, like, and that it's the having the ability to see, the ability to actually connect with our environment.
Our world. I think that's it.
And that, yeah, simple. Like, it gets to be simple, and the thing that for me is like the biggest um, expander of that is learning from nature, is learning from the world that we are so blessed to be living in, and it is that simple.
Yeah. Well, you will be so
And
proud of
everyone has
me.
access. Yes, I love
My
your drop of water.
but wait, there's more. So, my sister's been on this massive journey with gardening in the last few years and has become like an insanely incredible, amazing gardener. I'm sure, like you, and she's out there like every day, and she's got like doesn't matter where she lives. She's just moved into a bigger house, but she had this tiny house. She made a whole food forest out of like tiny little, like, just what can be created, incredible. And so she's always dropping me plants and like really hoping that I'll catch the gardening bug. And I've had this real story that, I can't do it because I kill cactuses and have had a bad rap with pot plants in the past. However, we live on this beautiful property and we've got a few acres here. And again, after going to Bali, and then, you kind of get on, I was like, the crusader in me was like, oh my gosh, we've got to do something about this plastic situation, which we do. But I just had a good look around my own backyard, when I'm always like, tend to your own backyard. Because
Yeah,
often as light workers and empaths, we'll go a bit global, and really it's like bring it back to simple, back to home. So on the weekend, I got in the garden, like I actually opened my eyes and had a look around and was like, actually, there's a lot of pruning that needs to happen. There's a lot of weeding that could happen. There's a lot of things that need to happen before I get like super creative. But so I called on my sister and said, "Can you come and help me?" But the vibes, the joy, just again the simple things, right? Getting out there and just freaking living. And my husband was going fishing and said, "Do you want to go fishing?" I was like, "No, I don't really like fishing anymore." These ways that the old boring person will just sneak in. And I was like, actually, it's a beautiful day. What? Why not? I'll come out on the ocean. Yes. So I caught all the fish, didn't I? And then, and then I had all my manuka that I had, hand sawed off with my saw out there, being a woman in nature. So, we cooked a fire and like cooked the fish over the fire, and just everything that you're saying, the connection to like, hands in the dirt and the satisfaction of those simple pleasures and that creative process of gathering and making something from it, and being able to have that whole cycle of life going like through the food, the farm to table. It's amazing. And I think that'll probably fill my cup for like my tank is still full from that. A couple of weeks at least. But it just kind of highlighted again, the potency of nature. There was an ocean dip involved. And then some joy, like Friday night, everyone's like, oh, and I say everyone, people around me that have been working in corporate for the week, they're like, oh. And I was like, come on, what can we do to like spark a bit of joy without like we're in our late 40s, we aren't going to go night clubbing or dancing or out to anything, let's face it. We just I wanted to lighten the mood, so I put on like a bunch of old 80s TV on YouTube and we laughed until we cried, like there were tears, and I was like, there you go, like this is living, people. And it was incredible. So I love the alignment of like, now I'm sitting here with you, who's been like flying that flag. So who knows? And this is how life works, right? We're so interconnected and we're all magnetizing closer to each other and, absorbing like what you put out on social media and just feeling, inspired by you to have more fun with my clothes even, like, and to get back into the fashion.
I think what's the worst that can happen? Like, what's the fucking point if it's not joyful? I don't know, because I spent so much time doing the opposite of that, choosing the opposite of that, and what did that entail? What did that end up in? What did that result in? Me feeling pretty miserable. So actually, like who loses if we choose more joy?
Great question. Absolutely freaking no one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Infinite energy. Well, if it's the baseline of who you are, like creative energy, like love, then it's the more it's like creative energy, right? The more it compounds, the more you use, the more you have, the more you are in that state, the more that becomes your natural baseline, and you're not chasing external highs. So you just get to feel good all the time. I mean, oh my gosh, are we actually allowed that? Yes, we are. I mean, I do a lot of work in spiritual community, and there's a really heavy template of suffering, like it has to be hard. Yeah. So this is such potent medicine that we all need to remember right now, is that, the purpose of, we talk about moving into higher octaves and 5D and 6D and 7D. It's like, well, we ain't going to get there if we're not happy now. Yeah. Like, we can't wait to be, it's not going to work that way, right? We don't get to be happy once we're there. It's the frequency shifting of being in a higher state, or I don't want to say higher state, but let's just say a more embodied state, to be able to fully receive what's here now. Like, it's like that. I feel like, with gratitude or with abundance, it's like you're not going to get any more of it until you fully receive what you have right now.
Yeah. And that's a hard lesson for a lot of us, myself included. Like, I was like gagging on fucking gratitude when I first started. I was like, this is so shit. Yeah, come on. And there'll probably be people that tune into this and be like, what are these girls on? And they're like, what? But I just, I invite you to stick with it. I invite you to, challenge the status quo, because most people are going to want to have like a conversation about people that rip them up on the motorway on the way, or like, the price of butter, or like, I don't know, just like, really? Are we still here? Come on. It was bucketing rain yesterday, and like drop-offs for us are not good at the best of times, but I ended up just bringing some fun into our school drop-off. So I took my sun umbrella, and that was the umbrella that we used to go to school, which is huge. You know, they're like the beach umbrella. So me and my son were walking across the field with this huge thing. The car's like, and it was just like, it's the little things that make the difference, and that just, I don't know, spark something else in something, and spark something in somebody else. It's the ripple that we get to create.
I'm seeing another revolution that you may be leading around, like how, you know, like a challenge you could bring out into the world of like challenging people. And we're going to throw this challenge out to you all right now, is to go do something a little unusual, do something a little crazy that's going to make someone else freaking smile today. Because that's it right there, right? Is the heart is like in the supermarket yesterday. I'm ashamed to admit I kind of dropped down into I became one of the dissociated people in order to cope with being around the dissociated people, which is terrible. What I should have done, what I could have done, was actually chosen the rebellion of like trying to make eye contact with someone and share a smile, right? Because you have those days, where you're just on a high and you're walking around and everyone just starts smiling at you because you're just like, ah. So I love that. I'm just seeing you with that umbrella and bringing smiles to rainy days. I mean, why not? That's so cool.
There's so many of them. The wedding dress is another thing that comes out quite often.
Tell me more, because I just tried mine recently. I was going to a big event and getting into all these costumes, and it was so much fun. And I was like, oh, what if I wore my wedding dress with a leather jacket to the nighttime thing, which it just wouldn't fit in a suitcase, sadly.
Yeah. Every opportunity that I get, oh, my little boy's just woken up. Hi, darling. I think it's had about 8 or 9 outings this year. I got married nearly 15 years ago, so I've had, is it 15? I don't know, something like that. So it's been a while, but I'm just obsessed with this dress. I bought it 2 years before the wedding because my mum and my best friend, and I had friends that were in Brighton at the time in the south coast of the UK. And we'd walked past the store every day on my way to work, and I just used to see the dresses, and I was like, oh, this is the place. And I said to Dan before we left, I was like, what if I find the dress today? It's 2 years before our wedding. We're overseas. We're coming back to New Zealand to get married. And he was like, if you know, you know. And I knew. I saw it. I had this whole like heap of dresses on the way into the changing room, and then I saw this tulle skirt, and I was like, that is it. I used to be a ballet girl. That is my dress. And I tried it on, and I was like, yes, this is it. And I still have that feeling. And I wore it on
right there, right? Is that you don't have to save it for the one day and then stick it in a box. Same thing with your joy, people. Get it back out.
I picked my son up from school. I had an event a couple of weeks ago, and I wore the dress to the event, and I didn't have time to change, so I just wore it to school pickup in my wedding dress. And all the little girls were like, oh, because it is big and it's like quite princessy. And then my son just came out and was like, hi, Mum. Like, so used to me wearing like ridiculous.
I love it. What a cool, oh my gosh, you're such a vibe. This is epic. This is epic. You're painting such a beautiful picture in my mind. I'm setting myself a few challenges just listening to you, right?
Get the wedding dress on.
Yes. So cool. So cool that you've embraced this. I mean, I used to be crazy in the way that I dressed back in art school, but it was like because that was okay to do there. And then it was like when I went outside those walls, it was like, can I still be that person that sews her own clothes and cuts her own fringe and has pink eyeshadow on, you know? So I really did do that whole conforming that now it's like coming back out again into full color at age 47. That's too long. So anyone that's listening that's feeling inspired, can you give them, I don't know, let's give them the 3 like simple tips that they can do to start to access more joy if they're feeling like it's really something that's gone on the back burner or been buried for a long time?
100%. Okay, so I would go to the beach firstly, or wild water, some water. Immerse yourself in some way, even if it's just taking your shoes off and putting your feet in the water. Like, just go do that. I would also look in your wardrobe and see all of the things that are in there, all of the colors, all of the stuff that is in there, and look at the things that give, like, that people comment on. Look at the things that people, you always have that one thing that you wear and everyone's like, oh, that you get comments on, or someone's like, oh my God, you look amazing in that. And that's often because it's like a color that is really good on you or whatever. Go and pull that thing out and wear it.
Yes.
Wear it to work, to school, to the gym, to the library, to the supermarket, whatever. Don't save it for good. We're like, saving for good. Now is good. Now is good. I say this about my champagne glasses as well. Like, like things that you get that you are like, oh, I can't use those. Like, it's just an ordinary Tuesday. Like, go and find something that you would normally save and use that. And the other thing that I would say is I have I have a bum bag, and I have scissors or secateurs with me everywhere I go, because there is always an opportunity to snip like a little bunch of flowers or, forage something. And that's brings me so much joy, is bringing nature inside. And this is especially prevalent in the wintertime, when like things are less vibrant in the garden, but there's always like a little sprig of something with a beautiful berry, or I don't know, there's just little bits and pieces, and it feels a little bit naughty when you snip it from somewhere. But it's also quite joyful.
You are such a fairy, maybe a pixie. There's definitely a little naughty fairy element to you that I absolutely love. Amazing. Thank you so much for those incredible tips, because that's it, right? Is like, keep it freaking simple. Nature. You are nature, and be that bright flower yourself from your wardrobe. Oh, I love it. So where can people find you if they want to connect with you? And is there anything special you've got coming up at the moment that you want to invite people into?
Oh, thank you. Instagram is generally a good place to get me. I'm at Jacinda Crothers Global on Insta. I have lots of bits and pieces happening all of the time. I'm wreath making this weekend. I've got Meditate on Friday, which I do the last Friday of every month. I also host an online membership called Joy Club, which is really about this, coming back to our hearts, allowing ourselves to access this deeper level of connection to who we are. So this is about being able to ride the ups and downs and realizing that joy gets to be the current underneath it all, regardless of what life is throwing at us. And so that's just a space. It's a group membership where people can come in and experience that and be in community of people that are choosing that. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, I feel joy just from sitting with you for the last hour. It's been so uplifting, such a breath of fresh air. So thank you so much for being with us today. I feel like we could talk for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So you might have to come back another time. I'll let you go dive into the ocean. So find Jacinda at Jacinda Crothers Global on Instagram, and enjoy riding that current with her. Thank you for being here and for sharing this space with us today. If something in this episode stirred, opened, or resonated within you, I invite you to follow the podcast and share it with your soul family. Please send us some love and give us a 5-star review if you loved it today. Your listens, shares, and reviews help this work ripple outward where it's meant to land. For deeper connection, you can visit debbielimcreative.com or find me on Instagram at debbielimcreative. And I'd really love to hear what moved or awakened for you in this conversation today. One final reminder, you're not here to fit into the old world. You're here to birth a new one through your body, your creativity, and your frequency.